thank you very much to all the panelists for being here. And we have a stellar group of people as representing big companies from southern India that represent the entire country across the globe. My first question is to Mr. Chandrasekar. So you represent a hospital chain, a very big brand in this part of the country. Uh, can you share your side of the story as to as part of a hospital, healthcare system, you have innovated over the years and delivered growth, which is regional, which has adapted to the requirements of this particular region, because every region is different and every region has different kind of challenges. So do share your experience of innovating over the years to deliver growth, which means something very special to this part of the country.
See, sometime, say a decade before, uh, the major surgeries, like suppose the wall replacements and all will be the major surgery that takes 10 days of hospital stay and that has a lot of complications, has been recently, with the recent renovations, made it within an hour by simple interventions. Something like a trans aortic valve replacement, like our cardiac team is doing it. And when the patient is shifted from the ICU to the ward, from the closed monitoring system, suddenly they go for no monitoring. And it's not that they are right, it's right to shift as it is, but it's not to keep the patient in the ICU also. So we are using something called early warning system, where a remote monitoring system is there. Patient will not be tied to any monitors or attached to any leads, and still we can see their BP, pulse, vitals, the blood pressures, heart rate, saturation remotely from the home, and that helps a lot of patients to be saved. And apart from this robotics, somewhere else they can operate the telemedicines. From here, we can deliver, we can give suggestions in a remote place where the ICUs are not very much manned by the right team. We can give treatment to the very poor in the remote stage. And a lot of AIs have come now, and triaging has become easy. So all these things are really helping the hospitals to develop much. And this is developing well. So out of this, the tele ICUs and the smart beds, which is giving a remote monitoring systems, are really useful, and that is helping us to develop. And these things are nowadays, it's come in our region very well, and that is making things better. And especially when it's a tele ICU, tele consultations, like say it's a Tamil Nadu, we get a lot of patients from northeast and other countries for the skills what we have. Previously, it was very difficult for the patient to move from there to here for simple opinion. Whereas sitting from here with the Zoom and other things, teleconsultations, we can rightly select, screen, advise for the simple things, and we can invite them only for the right surgeries or right treatment here. So all these things are helping us from the innovation side to develop the healthcare in this part of the country.
All right. My next question is to Mr. Srinivasa Bharathy, sir. You are a leading tech company from this part of the region. Could you share, as a company, the solutions that you have offered that have led to the rise in productivity, especially in this part of the region? Because Tamil Nadu and most of the South Indian states, they have very high productivity. So as a tech solution provider, what are the solutions that you have provided that were specifically designed for this particular region?
Okay, so good evening and thanks for inviting me to the panel. So we are one of the pioneers, I think, in the software product industry out of Chennai. We've been there in the business for 22 years plus. So what makes innovation tick in the region, I would say, I called it tick because there is a TIC involved. First is, of course, talent. The kind of talent that you are able to nurture, develop, and build out of this region has been great. Second is investment. Obviously, when you want to innovate, you got to invest into R&D, into technology, and ensure that investment is in the right direction for long-term benefits of the region. And the third is collaboration. Collaboration with industry, with academia, with government. And all the three together is when you actually have a regional growth happening through innovation. And I think what we tried to do as a pioneer in the space of software products out of Chennai has been to blend all these three into building more solutions that help improve productivity among the organizations that we have served and for ourselves too. So we kind of do something called we practice what we preach, and so all these innovation hub that we do in the region also helps actually catalyze a lot of growth in the area. And I think Chennai as a hub, I think most of us know, is one of the biggest software product hubs in the country. And that's one of the reasons that this place sticks. And we are happy to be one of the companies who are actually part of that innovation, I would say, stream of getting this region really backing up, huge development over a lot of time.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. My next question is to Mr. Pratip Francis. Sir, you represent a very big brand. The moment we think of MRF, I as an individual think of Sachin Tendulkar's bat all these years, and after that Virat Kohli. So you as a regional, even though like your original was this part of the country, but you are a global brand. And could you just tell us that how the journey, how difficult this journey has been, and how do you maintain this this supremacy as a recognizable brand from this part of the country that is known globally, and which has put MRF on the global map as well as this part of the country, because MRF is synonymous with I would say something very sturdy that India has produced.
Thanks for that question, Neeraj. So I think your question, it hits at the heart of the topic that we are discussing, which is innovation and why probably the southern region in India is able to catalyze innovation much more than other parts of the country. So, I have a slightly unique perspective on that because although I'm a South Indian and I've spent a large part of my life here, a few years working as well, but I've spent 17 years working in Delhi NCR. So, I've seen both sides of it across the country. What I can put my finger on is that why innovation is so deeply rooted in the southern states, especially in places like Tamil Nadu, is the basic culture that we have in the south. It's a culture of excellence and diligence where we actually obsess over the finer details. Let me just explain what I mean. See, in business, there are two kinds of businesses. There are marketing-led businesses and there are product and service-led businesses. So what I've seen is that, companies that are based in other parts of the country, they are majorly marketing-led, which is that they might create a good product, but they'll spend a lot of time and effort marketing that much better than probably the South, companies based in the South. Whereas the companies in the South, they spend a lot of time innovating, investing in R&D, obsessing over the finer details of the product or the service that's being offered, and probably little less on marketing that or making a big, show off the kind of product that they've released. And, that just goes, that derives from the understated culture that we have in the South. And I don't mean this in a derogatory manner. It's actually a compliment that, and this extends also into life outside corporate. So we are very understated, as South Indians, compared to other parts of the country. And that, I think, has led to a culture of innovation where it happens in the back end. It's not always visible in the front end. I'll just give you an example. Last year, we launched a product that we had been developing for a few years. In fact, we actually had it in development for almost 4 years. And in that time, some of our competitors from the north, they launched their own version of the product. It came in, it failed. They launched another version. But we resisted the urge to put out product out there without having the rigorous R&D and training and testing in place. So that product was on the streets. It was continuously undergoing rigorous testing, while all of this marketing and everything else was happening elsewhere. So, and then we launched it last year, 4 years after it, we first had the product, but it was a relative success because we put in that effort into not just innovating, but also testing it rigorously and not giving into the urge for, marketing it before we had it completely tested. So I think that in a nutshell, it's that focus on the product or the service rather than the marketing of it, which has led to our excellence over many years, and which also resonates with other companies from this part of the world.
Mr. Srinivasa, what's your take on what Mr. Pratip Francis was saying that, because there has always been this debate whether it is product versus marketing, because a lot of companies have a great product, but because they fail at marketing it, they have not been able to scale it up. A lot of companies that may not have a great product, but they were good at marketing, they managed to survive for a very long period of time, and then they had the money, and then they could improve the product. What side of the debate do you find yourself on?
Okay, so that's why the role of a product marketer came up, right? There's something called product marketing nowadays, and I mean not now, of course, for the last few years. But I think, obviously, if you're talking to somebody from this part of the town, you will obviously say product is the king. So having a great product, today with social media and the digital media being there, I would think the ability to market yourself with a great product is much higher than actually having to spend the marketing dollars that you needed to do earlier. And hence, I would still think a great product is important, and it would possibly start selling by itself if you have a great product with decent enough marketing today. And that would be my answer.
All right. Sir, in your sector, what sells more? Like, do you believe that, because, in the healthcare sector, we have seen, there are a lot of great doctors or great hospitals that may not be doing great business, but if you just talk to their customers, I would say patients, they have great reviews about them. But at the same time, especially in the last few years, we have seen the coming of new age startups that they are in the process of finding their product market fit, but in the process they are marketing very aggressively. So, we have seen a lot of healthcare startups as well. As a traditional healthcare practitioner, how do you see this debate? And have you ever felt that have you ever felt disappointed that sometimes people without the kind of services that are required in the healthcare sector, they have made more profits compared to you?
Yeah, like as he was telling, the product is the main thing. Let it be a new healthcare startup. If you are giving the right product, in the sense, the quality of care, like the blend of innovations and the treatment, that should be the right blend. For example, like here we have started the right branding activities and utilizing these mobile apps as well as wearable apps rightly for the healthcare, and to deliver the instructions, summaries, warning signs through the healthcare, and getting the right equipments, for example, general surgery, whereas robotic and endoscopic. Getting the right equipments, right technology for the right patients, selecting it, and delivering it with a blend of empathy, innovations, everything together, maintaining the quality, attaining the customer satisfaction will never cheat us. So even it's a new startup, having the right ratio of everything with the right doctor, right paramedic team, right infrastructure, we can achieve. So I think there will be no point of disappointment when we are right in the actions.
All right.
Maybe I should add that if you want short-term wins, then you can be a great marketing organization and use marketing to do a one-time or a short-term win. But if you want long-term sustainable growth, you better have a good product.
No, I agree with him. At the same time, only marketing will not help us. Marketing and branding is equally important. At the same time, when we do marketing and branding, invite many people into hospital, and you don't deliver the right treatment, that will be a negative marketing. Yeah. So how many number of people you bring in, they will go and say negative branding about us. So it should be the right proportion, right quality delivery, and right marketing branding will take it to the next level.
Since we are discussing innovation and catalyzing regional growth, Mr. Pratip Francis, a regional company needs to, conquer other regions as well, and different regions come up with different challenges. For example, the culture in South India is different from culture in North India, and the culture in North India is different from the culture in East India or West India or maybe Northeast India. As a company headquartered in the South, uh, how do you scale these challenges of understanding, requirements of different regions, and and can you share some examples of setbacks that you may have faced in conquering a new market, and you after that you learn from it your experience and then maybe change your strategy?
Yeah, Neeraj, slightly sensitive topic that you touched upon, but I'll give you examples and I'll answer the question also. So you're right, being from the south, in many ways, we are insulated from the other parts of the country, especially a state like Tamil Nadu. And so before I come to the question that you asked, I must also want that this is also a challenge when you talk about a business that wants to spread across the country. Because I'll take it from a marketing perspective, for example. In marketing, you have to market to every culture, in every language, to Hindi-speaking people, to the people in the East, to the West. When your entire marketing team is insulated and based mainly in the South with the kind of thinking that we have here, it does create challenges. And, that is something that we'll have to overcome if this rich heritage of innovation has to continue. Because let me tell you, as a marketer, and this might be controversial, but I'll be the first one to raise the red flag on this, that the youth of India from other parts of the country find it a challenge to relocate to, say, states like Tamil Nadu. And we have to just be honest and truthful about it. If we are to continue this, the streak of innovation and then, like you said, cater to the entire population. I can tell you, from a marketing perspective, all creative agencies have shut shop in Chennai. The JWTs, the Lintas, O&Ms, McCann, they all had agencies, branch offices here. They've all shut offices and moved to Bangalore, Mumbai, because that's where the so-called youth of India want to be present, So we'll have to address that at some point, which if we have to continue this, rich history of innovation, because India is a melting pot and it's getting all the other metros. It's not really a competition, but at the end of the day, we'll have to look at other metros as competition to Chennai. They have become cosmopolitan melting pots, especially for Gen Z, millennials, and the youth. So that's one challenge. How we are trying to address it, to answer your question, we make sure that we, especially in our sales team and in our regional marketing teams, we hire people, who have experience in those geographies. And we keep rotating them. We don't want the same mindset to be, present in a certain geography for a long period of time. We want people with multifaceted experience, diverse cultures and diverse experiences. Because at the end of the day, like you said, our product has to cater to everyone in the country. So we make sure we hire diverse people from diverse backgrounds. We make sure we rotate them across geographies and we give them exposure across the country. So the product is the same, but the way you market it will be different in different states and different cultures. So we are mindful of it. Why I mentioned it's a sensitive topic in the beginning is, there will always be North versus South and the product is from the South, but we've to a large extent overcome it, which is why we've been the leaders for more than 3 decades now. And we hope to keep capitalizing on that.
Very, very, very interesting point raised by you that, unless and until states are able to create an environment where youth, irrespective of which state they come from, are able to settle down and contribute to the growth of that particular region, it would be very difficult for regional companies to have the global outlook. Because if we just look at the most powerful nation in the world, that's the United States of America, it is the most powerful nation because it has accepted people from across the world, and it has enabled talented people's entry into that country. Even though globalization is on a retreat these days, with people controlling the borders. But what Mr. Francis said, that a state or a region needs to create an environment where people from across the country should be able to feel at home, and to be able to contribute what they have learned, because diversity is what leads to innovation. Because at the end of the day, if MRF or any other company has to sell products outside of southern India, they will have to understand the mindset of those people, and for that you would need people from those regions. Just in the morning, I was having a talk with a friend of mine. He's a childhood friend. His name is David. He grew up with me in Delhi. However, because he's from Chennai, he has a home in Chennai, and so he works for an ex company. And because he's a South Indian, he has been sent to Bangalore as the sales head of that region, saying that you conquer this region for us, and then maybe you can come back to Gurgaon. Sir, the
So
same
I,
question for
I
you.
kind of recall how we addressed a similar problem. We started, of course, our product was built almost in 1997, and the company has been there since 2002 as an organization. Some years ago, I think we started getting these, for questions from a lot of customers, because one of the main product that we have is a HR tech product, which means it impacts almost all the employees of an organization, irrespective of what type of role they perform in the organization. And we have more than 1 million such employees using it. So, and of course, the typical way in which a software company which goes global out of here, when we are operating in 70 plus countries, is to centralize certain things, right? So we centralized, obviously, our global support system. But then the kind of what Pratip was mentioning, you had language issues. We had people who could not answer or respond in Hindi or respond in a local language out of Chennai, and getting some people onto those desks. Not only in India, but even for outside India, speaking the languages that are needed to speak not only within India but also outside, was becoming difficult. So a few years ago, we had to then innovate on the fly. Obviously, so we started these regional desks in various regions, connected them together to the centralized system, and ensured that there is local as well as global support that could work in tandem without actually having to lose customers just because you couldn't respond to them in the same language that they would prefer to, right? So from a cost perspective, it obviously adds a lot of cost to you if you do that. But then that's the compromise you got to do to ensure that you give the right, kind of market response that you do, even post sales. That's an example that comes to my mind.
Mr. Chandrasekar, do you face similar kind of challenges in the healthcare sector? Because
Yes, I face it. See, our SRM Medical College and SRM Global Hospital, both are in the same campus. When it's a treatment doesn't differ. Whether it is poor or rich, treatment is same. On the one side, we offer free treatment for the same surgery, for the same disease. On the other side, we collect few lakhs. When we started, there was a very big criticism that the people are not even coming for 10 rupees of OP. How can you keep a corporate hospital here? We understood. When the patient is giving importance to money, that guy is a below poverty guy. For him, money matters. He wants healthcare at the lowest cost. Whereas in the same area, there are a lot of affordable creamy layer people. They are not coming here. It's not because of the area is not good. It's not because they don't want to give here. It's because what they want. There is a cultural difference. Here they want a warm greeting, the right room, right AC, right comfort, right right food, and somebody to be around them, give them the like the staff. Everybody should be soft skilled, nicely speaking, and end to end, all the touch points. The way when he enters, somebody should be there to go for a valet parking, somebody to receive him, address him, register nicely, and then take him to the doctor, keep them informed, and then give them the right food, right time, everything. End to end, entry to exit should be what they expect, like a star hotel care they expect. So treatment-wise, we cannot differ. Same surgery here, but when we give what they want, it is possible for us. So that I could get it. It was successfully going this SRM Global, despite having the free treatment on the other side. And apart from that, when we get the patient from Bangladesh, North India, we offer them the same language people to address and the food what they eat there. It's not that like dosa, idli, if we give, they may not be satisfied. We give them and we respect their culture. With all these things, when we change our hosting, that differs a lot. So something like what they have changed here, they kept the different desk in different languages, different part of the country. We keep in here, we treat them medically same, but we treat them and the other aspect differently, and that has become a successful one. It was a big question mark whether we can, and it was, we could.
Coming back to Mr. Francis. Mr. Francis, as we are discussing innovation, innovation requires an enabler, an ecosystem that allows innovation. It cannot happen, in any kind of a place where there is no culture. But beyond culture, there is also something called maybe the support of the policy from the governments. What kind of policies do you think have been provided in this part of the world by governments, especially in Tamil Nadu, that have enabled, that have created so many regional brands that have done so well in the country?
Exactly. Like you said, it's not only the company's own policy, but also the government policies that have to foster and support a culture of innovation. And in my opinion, the southern states, especially Tamil Nadu, the government has taken a stake on long-term development. Like Sir mentioned, innovation doesn't come about by chasing short or mid-term targets. Short and mid-term targets can be achieved through marketing. That's my area. But if you want long-term and sustained growth, development, and success, you need to invest in innovation. And that's the culture that the government has fostered in this part of the world, which is to invest, come out with policies that help organizations invest in the future. Not the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, but in the future. And being from Kerala, I know the flip side of it as well, where there's a government that doesn't really look at innovation or corporate or business as something to be invested in. So that's what the government brings to the table. But then it's also up to the organizations to take advantage of that. And for example, the organization I'm at, again, internally, the culture is one of looking at long term. Always look at the long term success or benefit for the company. We don't have short-term targets. We don't look at things for the next 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. Everything that we do, from the R&D that goes into our product, to the testing that happens on the product, to the marketing of it, is always with a long-term vision in mind. So I think it's both ways. The government has fostered that, and organizations are jumping onto that bandwagon. Again, with due respect to my friends from the north, it's very different over there. And having spent 17 years in that culture, I can tell you, it's always about the short and medium term success in other parts of the country. Whereas in here, in the south, it's more about the long term. Sometimes people mistake it for being laid back or, not as aggressive, not as ambitious, not as driven. These are some of the expressions I hear. But I look at it as a positive, which is that the eye is always on the long term success rather than on the short and medium term, like in other parts of the country.
I would possibly add that continuation of policies across the political spectrum has also possibly been one of the big, differences. That irrespective of who is in power, I think some of the critical innovation-led policies have been maintained and kind of fed also. That's one, I think, point. And the other is the difference between do I support incremental innovation or do I support disruptive innovation, right? So incremental innovation happens in many places. But if you take disruptive innovation, it takes a longer time to actually fester, invest, and disruptive innovation means long-term success. And so governments and policies that support disruptive innovation, like I think the southern governments did in the 80s when they actually built thousands of engineering colleges in the south, which led to a huge influx of engineers. While today, of course, it could possibly be on the downside, but that led to the rise of the technological innovation that happened in that part of the world. And that was a long-term, policy intervention that created that scenario. Similarly, I think in the medical field, that we have possibly the largest number of medical colleges in the state, in the country. So I think that those kind of policies that foster long-term thought processes, like you were saying, provides that impetus for innovation across the world. I think if you take the innovation capital of the world, we would call it Silicon Valley, possibly Boston in the technology side. At some point in time, Detroit was the innovation capital in the automobile side, and most popular innovation capital for, let's say, in the movie industry, Hollywood, right? So they keep coming up with innovative ways of doing things. And so if you look at it, the policies that support those innovations have been long-term and not really restricted to the governing party or whatever at that point in time. And that's, I think, would be the answer from mine.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
sir.
was talking to you about the TAVI, the interventions which needs like surgeries for 10 days can be done within an hour. And say for your Parkinsonisms, a small chip in the brain will give him the bright life again. He can run, walk, smile. So all these technologies, life-saving technologies, have come, but it's too costly. It should be received by a common man. It's only for the creamy layer. So this should be made affordable. Like go to foreign countries like China and all, they do reverse engineering and keep that technology available for the common man at the cost-effective manner. So that should be there. And the government regularizations shouldn't be barrier or bottleneck for the innovations. That should be catalyst. So they have to bit ease on the regularization, and they have to help in bringing down the cost of these innovations so that the larger community will be useful. Otherwise, see the requirement of Parkinson's, say 1 million people are there, only few hundreds are getting the treatment. The main reason is the cost. So my feel is the government should help the innovation to be available to every common man at an affordable cost. Our government can subsidize, can waive the tax and give the right cost. Apart from that, as an administrator, what I feel, on one side there are a lot of schemes, CM scheme, all those schemes. They're giving the payment which is less than that of the cost which is occurring for the hospital. So they are expecting the quality of a foreign. When they want innovation, all these things to be given to the patient, the appropriate cost should be given to the hospitals. So one side, the government should raise the payment to the hospitals. On the other side, government should come down, help the innovative materials and technologies should be available at low cost. By doing this way, we can improve the growth in the regions.
All right, so time is up for this session. I would like to thank the learned panelists on this panel for sharing their understanding and knowledge about innovation. I would like to sum up this session with 3 important points: that innovation cannot happen in silos. Innovation requires constant vigil and constant focus by companies that they need to innovate for the long term, and just focus on marketing will not yield them any sustainable results. Plus, they need the government, the local government needs to be an enabler, and and the government also needs to have a long-term vision, and that's why Southern India is way ahead of other parts of the country, simply because governments in the past invested in the future, be it by establishing medical colleges or engineering colleges. And the third thing is, I would say that, that the companies need to collaborate and and attract the best talent from across the world. There should be no barriers to talent, because at the end of the day, a company is as good as the kind of people they work with, or the kind of people work for them. And we have global examples of companies, be it Tesla or OpenAI. In most of those places, a large number of people are not the locals. They have traveled to that country, and they have adopted that country, and they have contributed to the growth of that country. The same thing, the same logic applies in within India as well. Irrespective of which state you are from, every state should have an environment that its companies are able to hire and attract the best talent, and that's what will result in long-term sustainable growth. Thank you very much for being here to listen to this lovely panel. Thank you very much, everyone.